Hello, viewers. Today, let's learn something from the worst single-stage brew. The recipe I'm going to show you today, I don't want you to follow. But it's an experiment that hopefully will give us some justification for our normal recipe for delicious Korean rice wine, makgeolli. Our normal recipe uses godubap, hard steamed rice. Why do we do that? Why do I like doing multiple stage recipes? So to help answer that question, I decided to do a single stage brew just with undercooked porridge, bambak. So this is going to ferment really well and really quickly. And the question is, well, if this ferments so well, why not just do the whole brewing process with this preparation method of rice? Why go to the trouble of making godubap later and adding it into this? So what I'm showing you here is making bambak, the undercooked porridge, which I've used before and worked great as a starter. But what happens if we, instead of just using it as a starter, use it as the whole brew, just single stage, only bambak? What's going to happen? And I'm warning you, don't make makgeolli this way. This is not the right way to do it. This is going to be a big problem. But I'm stirring it like normal, and it is fermenting. So I'm not talking too much about the details of the recipe because I don't really want you to follow it. But I am stirring it like normal, and it is bubbling and loud. So that's exciting. If you might think this is going well, it actually smells pretty good at this point. And it's still bubbling a lot on the third day, and the fourth day, still super active. So I'm going to pretend that this is what I want. I'm going to let it completely ferment. I want maximum alcohol out of this. What will it taste like in the end? And I am going to be rudely surprised at the end by just how bad this is. And even start separating out pretty, well, it's very definitely settling out into the clear layer and the solids on the bottom. But it's still bubbling. So is it really fermenting? I'm actually wondering this now, looking back at this footage. Some of those bubbles might not be from fermentation. They might be from just yeast dying and producing little bubbles like that. I think that's possible. "14 days. How much longer should I go? 15 days. Well, it looks like I'm going to have some liquid to taste. It actually doesn't smell as good anymore. Smelled better just the first couple of days. Okay, 17 days, that's enough for this experiment. I'm going to mix it together again and filter it. Pretty easy to filter. Okay, but and not much jigamy because I made it with rice flour. The porridge, there's not going to be a lot of solids in there. So you can tell just from me pouring it in there, it is quite thick. Okay, so this wasn't the normal recipe, but how bad is it? This wasn't the traditional way to do it, but how bad is it? It definitely fermented a lot. So I'm going to taste this, and it's terrible. It is thick and so bitter. It's terrible taste, 0 out of 10. Do not drink this. Even just looking back at this footage, I am getting a bad taste in my mouth. And even letting it settle and tasting the chongju, that tastes terrible too. That is not good. It's truly awful. This is not the way to do it. So the lesson here is that it is possible to have too much of a good thing. We had very rapid fermentation at the beginning. That was too much. This justifies Go-to-Bop as a better rice preparation method, and it also justifies using a multi-stage recipe, even though the porridge is good for getting things started, but you don't want to only do porridge, at least not like this. So other lesson, the starter is not meant to be the finisher. The starter gets things going. You get a lot of fermentation in the starting stage. That's not the right way to finish the brew. And the last thing I learned is that dead yeast tastes really bad. That bitterness it wasn't just some bitterness from the Naru. It's really a different kind of bitterness beyond anything I've ever tasted. And I like bitter things. I brewed with wormwood before, but this dead yeast really tastes terrible. Do not repeat this experiment. Just learn this lesson from the video. Don't repeat it. So I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you for watching.